You know the vibe. All spice, no sugar. Let's get into it.
Welcome back. We are back here at the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. It's season 2, guys, because your girl, she had to have a little bit of a Christmas break. It actually was unplanned, but then in the moment I was like, actually, I'm going to have a Christmas break. And I have something to celebrate with you. And it's going to be the topic of today's podcast because I thought might as well come back with a bang. First episode back into the new season here at Don't Sugarcoat It. And I want to celebrate because Kenny the creator has officially crossed the 7-figure mark over 2 years of business. Yes. Oh my gosh. Literally last year, every single day, I was reprogramming my mind of how to become a 7-figure business owner. And then it was literally the last week in December where I did all my numbers and I realized your girl has done 7 figures in her company in 2 years. I was like, holy motherfucking shit. We did it. We did it. So today, this episode is going to be about how I turned a content creating business into a 7-figure company in 2 years. So my intention for you today, babe, as you're listening, is I really want you to absorb all of the information that I'm sharing with you, because nothing that I did is a big secret. Nothing that I did is this crazy big strategy funnel. It was about identity work. When I look back and I look at all of the dots that had to connect for me to be here, it is actually so possible for you. And all you need to do is a few things that I'm going to share with you inside this episode today. And I guarantee you can make 2026 your year, the biggest year. And I don't know if you've been inside my world recently, but I have been running the Big 26 and I have women inside this container. It's a 26-day challenge for you to go big this year. And because my word for the year is loud. How can I be louder? How can I be bigger? Because even though I crossed 7 figures last year in my company, I immediately thought, okay, how can I shift into multi-millions this year? Because I ain't here to play around. I'm here to go louder. And if anything, of all the things that I've been taught and have experienced, especially in 2025, the year of the snake, I don't know about you, girl, but the year of the snake, it got me good with all of the best way possible, right? Because all of the craziness that happened last year, oh my gosh, there was so many things. It all happened for me to grow and expand. And I couldn't have become a 7-figure entrepreneur without all of the chaos, without all of the ebbs and the flows and the ups and the downs and the roller coasters. So what I'm going to share with you today is how to actually move through that so you can still achieve your goals and hit those milestones in your business despite the ebbs and the flows. Because if there's one thing that I know is so true, business is not linear. No, unfortunately, you've been sold a lie. Business is not linear. There are ups and downs, there are highs, there are lows, but it's how you hold yourself and the identity that you continue to move through every single day that determines how prosperous you are, how fast you achieve those milestones. So let's get into it. So also too, I want to celebrate because I was doing a few, as we were in the break of the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast, I went back through and I went and reviewed my top 10 podcasts of the last season. And I am celebrating because we crossed 11,000 plays just on Spotify alone. So I'm just going to give my little fairy claps for that one because I'm just like super stoked with that. Truly. I was like, hell yeah. And I'm ready to go even bigger and even louder this season on Don't Sugarcoat It. So please join me. If you're ever listening to an episode and you just feel it in your soul, please share it online and tag me because I love to see, because I can't really know how well the podcast is doing besides the plays that I see on my database. And do you know how many times I went to cancel this podcast last year? So many, pretty much every single month. Every single month that came around that I had to go in and film another 4 episodes, I would be like, do I really? I don't know. Is this even building my business? I don't know. Every single time I questioned that, I'd have a message from someone being like, oh my God, I've been listening to your podcast. It's so good. Or I would have someone reshare it and be like, this episode is amazing. So please for if not for your sake and for your friend's sake to learn all the cool shit and expand your business and completely shift and change your life, please do it for me because I need some validation sometimes that you're actually enjoying this because I love talking, I love yapping, and I love sharing all the things. And, you know, I've had some people message me saying, Candy, because of your podcast, I've literally crossed $65,000 in my business this month. Everything that I learned on your podcast about identity, energetics, and nervous system regulation, I crossed $65,000. I was like, holy fucking shit, babe. If you're doing that by just listening to my podcast, imagine working with me. Seriously. But it's little moments like that and messages like that that really just make it all worth it. So please, if you are listening, if you're new to the podcast, please like, subscribe, follow us, comment below. If something lands for you, share it to someone who can listen, because together we are going to create more impact. And I'm here to lead a movement, and I want you to come with me. All right, I want you to come with me. I want you to see your wins. I want to celebrate with you. Something that I love doing with my clients is celebrating with them. But I can't do that if I can't see you. So please, I know it's annoying, but please subscribe, like, follow, and also check us out on Instagram at the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. Okay, enough about those things. I want to celebrate and I want to talk about 7 figures. How I turned a content creation business into a 7-figure company. I know you want to know. Okay, I know you want to know. And here's the thing: I didn't turn just content into 7 figures by posting better or having more strategy in my business or running ads. Because the amount of times that I want to bang my head against a wall when someone's like, "I'm launching this container. Oh yes, I'm just gonna put ads into it." I'm like, no. That's not how you build a scalable personal brand. That's not how you position yourself as an industry leader just by popping ads on. No, it is in who you identify as. I did it. I became a 7-figure entrepreneur by becoming a different woman whilst I was posting and whilst I was showing up. So here's my story in a nutshell. And I feel like this is really interesting because I obviously know my story and I feel like I talk about it all the time. I've had so many people ask me, Kenny, how have you gone from emergency nurse to content creator to 7 figures? And you've done it so seamlessly and graciously. And just this week, I spoke at an event called Fuck Up Nights, and I was sharing my biggest fuck up in business. And it made me realize that whilst I've been showing up so graciously and seamlessly on social media, there have been so many fuck ups along the way. But those fuck ups have allowed me to shift my identity. And that is the thing that has gotten me there. So I want you to listen to this very specifically. Content acts as a vehicle, not a clap or a cause. All right. I want you to start viewing content differently. How is content going to get you to where you need to be? And how do you need to show up? What type of identity do you need to show up as to get you to where you need to be? So content itself doesn't create wealth, identity does. And what I find is most people ask the wrong questions. Yes, I teach my clients how to build a high converting content asset. Yes, I teach my clients how to build a premium brand that attracts clientele. Yes, I teach my clients how to use messaging and marketing to actually draw in their soul aligned clients. Yes, I teach my clients how to position themselves and actually sell out their offers, containers, and masterclasses. But whilst that is all content related and branding related, most people are asking the wrong questions. They're asking questions like, what's trending? What hooks work best? What time is the best time to post? Like, if you ask me that, I'm going to literally slap you. How do I get more views? Or how do I sell without feeling salesy? These types of questions are coming from the person who is still seeking acceptance. That is the problem. If you're asking yourself and you find yourself trying to find these micro little things of like, oh, the algorithm, how do I make the algorithm like me? Or how do I find the best time to post? Or what type of content is trending these days? Then you're asking the wrong questions, because that is such surface level shit. And that isn't going to be the thing that's going to drive you to the next level in your business, because you can constantly look at the best ways to post content or the best editing tools or the best platforms to film film your content on, but that's not going to actually address the root cause of how you become successful in your business, of how you shift into multi 6 figures or 7 figures in your business, 8 figures. The people who are doing massive milestones like this aren't looking at the micro little things in their content. They're looking at, how do I need to become the person who is successful? So this is something that I do every single day. I still do this. Like I said to you before, I have like, okay, well, we've crossed 7 figures in my company now. How can we go into multi-millions this year? I literally want to just absolutely disrupt the industry. I want to destroy the stigma of how people scale in their business. So for me, I'm like, how do I do that? Who do I need to become? So I ask myself this question. In the mornings, I'll go for a walk. I will listen to a podcast, I'll listen to some music, and I'll connect in with myself, and I'll meditate, and then I'll literally ask myself this question: how does the multi-million-dollar version of me show up today? And this question acts as a catalyst for you to start to think and behave and act in accordance with the person that you are claiming to become. The difference between that question and the other questions that I listed before is that question forces you out of your current patterns of behavior. It forces you to think differently to how you currently are. Because if you think the same as what your current reality is, you're only going to repeat the patterns, repeat the current state. But when you pull yourself out of what you're currently experiencing and start to think like the person you're becoming, and you start to behave like that, and you start to act in accordance to how that future version of you acts, it literally time collapses yourself into your next level. So I want you to ask yourself this question. First of all, I want you to decide, who is it that you become this year in 2026? I want you to just put a one word. For me, it's well, that's not really one word, but I'm going to hyphenate this, the multi-million-dollar version of myself. So if you can list and think just one name, one word of who you become this year, I want you to write that down. And from there, this is also something that I teach my clients all the time. And I actually ran a seminar about how to actually implement this into your business. And I got my clients to write down, okay, who is the woman that you're becoming? Cool. Step 1, write that down. Who are you becoming this year? And then you need for starters, plaster that everywhere. I have it on my lock screen on my phone. I have it on my lock screen on my laptop. I have alarms in my phone. And I'm constantly asking myself that question. And what's happening is I'm rewiring my subconscious mind to think the way that a multi-million-dollar version of me thinks. I literally am programming myself to be that person. Even if right now in my current reality, in the present now moment, I am not, I'm still thinking and behaving in that way. And last year I had on my home screen, on my phone, on my lock screen, I am a 7-figure business owner. I had on my laptop screen, I'm so thankful and grateful that I now am a 7-figure entrepreneur. So every single time that I opened my phone, that I opened my laptop, whilst it's not like I'm literally looking at it and just reading and being like, I am a 7-figure entrepreneur, it was reprogramming my mind on an unconscious level, just in the background. Like a computer has software running in the background for it to actually work. That's what your unconscious mind is like to your conscious mind. And by asking yourself these questions and having these things in your field constantly, in the background, you don't even have to be aware of it. In the background, your mind is starting to create new stories, new patterns, new behaviors, and ways that you begin to think. And that over time compounds. So you just act naturally in accordance to that version of you. So I want you to ask these 3 questions. What do my people need to hear? So now we're shifting into the content side of things. So now you have the identity piece of who you're becoming. The next step now is to show up in that identity in your content. And it doesn't even matter what industry you're in. I don't care if you're a coach, if you're a fitness mentor, if you're a healer, if you have a service-based provider, if you have a product business, a brick and mortar, it doesn't matter. If you're using social media or any type of marketing, to make more money in your business, you need to ask yourself these questions. And the moment that you assume the identity of this, everything begins to shift for you. So I want you to ask yourself this question. What do my people need to hear? Start plugging into your content as a vehicle, connecting your content for your people. So what do they need to hear? The next question, what standard am I setting? So if someone was to come onto your account and they were to consume the first 5 pieces of your content, what type of standard are you energetically saying without actually saying anything? That then carries across to everything that you do, between your offers, between your programs, events, your content, even your podcast if you have one, the conversations that you have with clients in the DMs, how you show up at an event, at a networking event. The standards that you're energetically communicating actually creates an identity within yourself, and then your audience or your clients are going to mirror that identity. So if you're setting this standard that you're half in, that you're treating your business like a hobby, people are only going to treat you so seriously. But if you're claiming the position, and this is what I did, especially in the last 6 months of last year, honestly, my trajectory and my financials last year was, I don't know what the fuck I was doing at the beginning of the year. I had like one good month, and then I finally got my shit together after, well, I know exactly what was happening in my personal life, but after June, things shifted, things changed. I was out of a relationship and I was like, oh, well, all the energy is going into my business now. And then interestingly enough, which maybe potentially he's still convincing me. I met my now partner, who is the most incredible man that I have ever been with. And by having him energetically in my life, my business literally exploded. My financials literally exploded, and it's crazy. So I'm going to probably bring him on here, maybe one episode, and we're going to talk about feminine and masculine dynamics in business and how that relates in business. So it's going to be really cool. So maybe just stay tuned for that, because that's amazing. But what that allowed me to do, it has allowed me to identify as the industry leader. It allowed me to identify in this feminine nature, which actually allowed me to receive more cash flow. So it was this standard that I was holding, and it was playing out in all areas of my life. So look at the standard that you're playing out in all areas of your life right now, including your content. Are you diluting your message in fear of someone getting triggered? Are you not fully expressing yourself because you're a little bit concerned about what other people will think of you? That standard of holding yourself back is being energetically communicated in your content and in your brand. For me, I held the standard of I'm the industry leader. I kept claiming that. I kept saying that. I'm now an industry leader. I'm an industry leader. I'm an authority in the field. I kept claiming that. And now people just look at me and they're like, oh, Candy, she's an industry leader. Because that was the identity that I was claiming. I was like, it just makes sense. A 7-figure entrepreneur is an industry leader. So I was showing up in my content in that way. Even if at the time I still felt like I didn't fully feel convicted. I was like, oh my God, this is a stretch for me to show up like this. But I knew in order for me to get to the next level, that's how I had to show up. And the third question. So the first 2 questions, 1, what do my people need to hear? Because unconsciously, when you ask yourself that question, you're assuming the authoritative role, that you know something that people need to hear. That's going to shift the energetics of like, hey, listen to me. The second question is, what standard am I setting and how am I communicating that in my content? And the third thing is, what does my future self say? What does my future self show up as? And this one question has been the thing that has constantly driven me forward. Every single time that I've shifted and pivoted in my business, I have anchored into, okay, what's my future self doing? People always commend me on how graciously I expand in business and how graciously I pivot. Like I was saying before, I've gone from content creator, as in like UGC, done for you. I was the person creating content for other entrepreneurs. I considered myself just like a nobody. I was like, yes, I just liked filming and creating and editing. And then once I started getting my client success, and I was actually getting success in my business, I then expanded into, I'm going to teach you how to create content. So then other people who are more small businesses who weren't yet 7 and 8 figures started to come to me to learn how to create content for themselves. So then I became the mentor, the educator, the teacher. And then as that grew, I shifted more into the mentor role. This is when my events started taking off. This is when I started running Australian tours. And then I just completely shifted. I had an obsession with fast action and implementation. I look at what I achieved in the 2 years of my business, and most people would take 5 years to do what I did in 2. That's because I was obsessed with speed. So I was identifying as, okay, well, if an authoritative person in the industry runs events Australia wide, I'm going to do that. And I just showed up and did it. I was acting as if the person who is a leader in the field. And that consistently compounded to now people just naturally looking at me and actually holding me on the level of the people who I once looked up to. Like, I have clients coming to me and they're like, I'm thinking about working with you. I'm thinking about working with these other people. And they're literally listing all of these other leaders in the field that I used to look up to. And now I'm literally playing at the same game. But the only way that I can play at the same game is because I took those people off a pedestal and started identifying as someone who is just as good, just as valuable, just as an authority as they are. So for me, positioning changed everything. Positioning in my content and positioning in how I perceived myself. That's what changed everything. That's what allowed me to quantum shift from content creator to 7 figures in my industry. Most people are going wrong because they're still attaching themselves to a past version of them. You already know, and I say this to my clients all the time. What's your highest timeline? How are you actually showing up in your business? And you have the answer immediately. You already know what you need to be doing, but you're still hooking yourself onto the past identity because that feels safe, because that feels known, because that feels comfortable. But for as long as you still show up is in just a fragment, even if it's like 10 to 20%, if you show up 10 to 20% as your old self, the part of you that got a part of success, even if you show up as 10% of that, you can only go so far. But once you fully pivot, and I'm not saying you completely change industries or you completely change your business model. It's micro pivots of what you're claiming online, what you're claiming to be, who you're claiming to be. And most people will be like, well, I feel like a fraud. I feel like I'm an imposter if I do that. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. You have to put yourself into that edge. You have to put yourself into that discomfort, because then once you put yourself into that state of edge and discomfort, you naturally have to regulate yourself and expand into that role. And then the faster that you continue to do that, the faster you'll see the results in your business. So many people are just so attached to a specific identity because it got them to a specific place. But that's only going to repeat the pattern and repeat the process. You have to feel like you're doing something wrong or you're not fully qualified. Otherwise, you're not growing. You're staying the same. So my obsession with expansion and speed and acting as that person before it arrived into my field is the very reason why I have been able to create 7 figures in my company in 2 years. And there is no excuse as to why you can't too. There's literally no special gift. Like, I believe I have a fucking special gift. I know I have a special gift. And also that, like, it's so available to you. It's just about constantly playing in the field of expansion, of discomfort. It's so interesting. And I'm going to leave you with this. Most people want the millionaire money. They want the millionaire lifestyle. I hear it all the time. Yet they want it without behaving like one. Who are you behaving as? That's how much money you're going to make this year. If you behave like a millionaire, chances are you're going to make a lot more money than what you currently do. So who do you need to identify this year in 2026? I want to know. You get to write that down. You get to claim that today. And if you want to fully shift into this identity and shift into the proximity, the fastest way is to move into a space that holds you to that standard. So this year, I'm opening up spaces into the collective, which is my coaching container for women scaling to their 6 figures. Now, I generated multi 6 figures in the first 12 months of my business and have now crossed 7 figures in 2 years. If I know one thing really fucking well, it's how to shift your identity to time collapse your results in your business. And by now, you know that you're being called to a higher standard. You know that you're ready to claim that version of you. And the beginning of the year is like the most potent time of the year for you to say, yes, this is the one for me. This is a year for me. So if you're listening to this and you've been feeling that desire, you've been feeling that pull to go to your next level and to shift into proximity to your new identity, then this is my invitation to you. If you're feeling the call, I'm going to pop below how to work with me, because I want you to win this year. I want to bring more women into this space so they can achieve the goals and the dreams and the desires that they want. I was literally talking to one of my support coaches this morning before I came into film this podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, like I just want all of my clients to win so much. Like I just want to give them everything. And the thing is, all of the tools that you need to generate 6 figures and multi 6 figures in your business, I have them and I want to give them to you. And I want you to come into this space and move with me and evolve with me. And together we're going to lead a movement of women who are leveraging energetics to scale a business that is fully aligned to their soul. So if you're feeling this, my babe, this is my invitation to you. In the show notes below, I'm going to drop my website. It's going to have the offers of how you can work with me and how you can book a call with my team. So please, you know what you want to do. You know who you're ready to become. So I'll see you below. So thank you for listening to this episode on the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. I think it's a pretty good fucking vibe to start the new season, celebrating my 7-figure success. How fucking lit. I will see you in the next episode. Remember, please comment, please like, please share this with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you in the next episode. And remember, the vibe, all spice, no sugar. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.